What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we're talking The Last of Us. We're talking Peacemaker teaser trailer. But before we get into all of that fun, Dave, Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
Well, Keith, I gotta tell you, I am fan-freaking-tastic. I was excited. I didn't expect to see that. I didn't know ahead of time that there was going to be a Peacemaker trailer there. So I was pretty excited about that. I love the preview. I was pretty excited. That's about all. That was the height of my excitement for that
When you
evening.
said you were excited, I was like, oh my God, did he like this episode?
Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. I had plenty of phone moments, and they lasted a while. A while.
Why'd you say it that way?
What? What are you talking about? Why so much emphasis on the H, Doug? I gotta tell you, I'll tell you why when we get into it, but it's the usual talking points for me. Doug, how are you doing tonight?
Well, Dave, let me tell you, I am outstanding. Ah, had a pretty decent day, not too bad. And I unfortunately I didn't end up watching last night's episode right away when it aired. And I only I started watching it and then got about halfway into it. I got too tired. It was like I didn't start the episode until I want to say like 11, 12, and I'm like, okay, I'll finish it tomorrow. And I finished it today, like during my lunch break, and I ended up having to scroll back because, yeah, have you ever gotten to one of those moments where like you're watching something but you're tired and do the head bob?
Yep.
I was doing the head bob last night, so I did not. I started the episode back up at at a certain point. And I'm like, wait, how did we even get here? What is going on?
So you just started watching it all over?
I had to scroll back to figure out how we even got here. But yeah. Can't wait to talk a little bit about it with you fine gentlemen. And Keith, you're back.
Yay!
We missed you.
Thank you.
You have no idea how we struggled. We take you for granted, sir, because we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
How you struggled with the sound being good and
Oh, by the way, can everybody hear us?
I double checked. I've looked at the audio mixer like 3 times since we started, and they're both in the green. So,
for those of you that don't know, because I was super quick to edit it the following day, but for those of you that don't know, when I started this stream last week, I made the bold and brave decision to open us with the outro.
It didn't last very long.
Then I also
In his
couldn't figure out
defense.
how to move around our images, so it was kind of like just stuck there, and I'm like, all right, well, whatever, it's just have to deal with it. So, thank you, Keith, for everything that you do.
oh well, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. And just so you know, go ahead.
Keith, how are you doing?
I am tremendous. Happy to be back. Had a little work trip in sunny Florida at the end of last week, so I was happy you guys were
Yeah,
able.
we told everybody that you were doing a Gorman massacre,
I was.
little massacre.
People kept
like the
asking
right
me,
meat.
"Who are you?"
I don't even know who you are.
Well, I didn't have much time to think about that, though.
No, nope. Unfortunately, not.
No, that might have been the last thought that went through his head.
Yeah,
Was the
probably.
last thing that went through his head, but yeah.
You know what the thing is about that, though, which I thought was like Cassian remembers him from season 1 when they kind of had that run-in, I think, and he wasn't asking it like who are. He was like, holy cow, this is twice we've kind of like, who are you? Like, seriously, how are you matching me, or keep finding me or whatever? And Cyril was, of course, thinking, this guy has no idea who I am. And just died thinking that. I thought it was, like everything on this show, there's always this extra sort of layer kind of floating out there. And man, that such a great episode. Good God.
Oh my God, so good.
And this is Happy Andor Eve, our last one, everybody. And no, Andor did not get canceled. They only planned 2 seasons leading right into Rogue One.
But
which
how am I
leads
going to know what happens to him, Keith?
Well, we
we'll
can
have
find out by watching Rogue One right after the series finale.
Oh, good. I hope it's a happy ending.
Oh, it is. Very happy, yes.
He shows up in Return of the Jedi, too, right?
And he's showing up in The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah.
And he was one of the
In body
fighter
parts.
jets in the fan fiction Rise of Skywalker at the end. So he's good. He's all good.
Nice. Can't wait to see him in the Rey movie that's coming out.
Oh, he's going to be fantastic. He's still
He's gonna be
searching
the
for bits.
Starfighter, right? He's going to be Starfighter's best friend.
Yeah,
Ryan Gosling's
that's right.
best friend.
Yeah.
I'm just a pilot. Now, come on, come fly with me. But all right. Are you gentlemen ready to talk a little The Last of Us? Which was
I think I'm ready to talk a little bit The Last of Us.
episode 5, Feel Her Love.
Too bad it can't be the last of the episodes.
Hey now.
As you can see, someone is not a big fan.
I was actually going to say, he's not alone in that. Apparently, the internet at large really didn't care for this episode.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't get that at all. I mean,
No, neither did I. I thought it was fine.
I didn't read any of that, but I just, you know,
Well,
I don't know.
okay, good.
if
Actually,
their
I'm kind of
talking
happy
points
because
were the same as mine.
Yeah,
Hello?
I'm curious now. I can't wait to hear. Like, I tell you what. Why don't we jump to the very end of our rating? No, just teasing.
so Ellie
no,
wakes
I
up
am-
in her bed. Oh, wait, not the end of the...
Not the end. No, we're not going to work our way backwards.
Got it. But, we start at a Lake Hill Hospital with the Washington Liberation Front. And Hanrahan is talking to Park and about an operation where in the basement of this hospital, they had the long-awaited, they are finally here, airborne spores.
Mm-hmm.
Which, Park had to lock her son in that basement with them and basically seal it off. Which I knew right from the beginning, as soon as they talked about it, this would have no impact any other time in the rest of this episode. Oh, wait, it did. Sorry. But
Chekhov spores?
yeah, I always laugh and I'm like, okay, they're telling us that because something's going to happen in this episode with it. And I almost immediately said, Ellie's going to end up in that basement. And
So,
she's not going to be infected.
Did either of you watch the how the episode is made section?
I did.
So, I love that the writer and the director, they basically admitted, like, yeah, we weren't going to do the spores, but then we ran into the point where we're like, we have to do the spores. So we just had to kind of put it in there. It's like, I love that they're admitting, they're like, yeah, we fucked up, but I mean, what are we going to do? It's like, because I do understand when they had first announced in the first season, spoilers for everybody who hasn't seen season 1, but is for some reason watching our season 2 episode review. But I love when they announced in season 1, they're like, yeah, we know that in the games that, technically the fungus, it spreads by shooting spores everywhere, but you're able to get away with that in the video game by putting on a gas mask, and that's fine. You're playing a first-person video game. But for a television show, we cannot. There's no way that we can have all these actors just wearing gas masks the entire show. It's not going to work. So we had to find a new inventive way for the fungus to spread. And then I guess when they got to this point, they're like, I guess we can't put it off any further. We're doing spores again.
Well, and they contained it in a certain area. I thought they handled it pretty well for
Well, it makes me
ignoring it for 1.5 seasons.
Is this are they going to continue to expand on this, because we've already seen in Jackson that the fungus is getting a little bit smarter with the way that it's crawling through the pipelines and invading into the city. So now I wonder, are they going to, are spores in the air, is that going to be a thing that they're going to focus on a little bit more heavily in the rest of the season?
See, I was thinking too, is Ellie going to be like a carrier?
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. That's a good
A
point.
mutant carrier.
Yeah, yeah. It might not affect her, but she could start spreading the spores. Oh,
She'd be like
oh.
the evil. That would be the evil spreading this throughout the globe.
Dang
Or
it.
flat Earth if you go that way.
Is that our what's next? Is that how it's all going to end? They're going to have to lock away Ellie?
I still do think, and after, I do still think at the end of all this, she is going to give herself up to get the cure out there because she's going to feel guilty about some of the things she's done, which we'll talk about at the end. But, we find out, Ellie and Dina are still in the sort of theater and they're listening to the radio and they kind of figure out that Nora is at that hospital.
I
And so-
love, by the way, what Dina says, how she's got the walkie playing, and she's like, they're so overconfident. And I know that we literally just got done talking about it for a minute, but it reminded me so much of Andor. Because he gives this speech to Luthen, I want to say like episode 3. Luthen is asking him, like, how did you even get in there? How did you steal this piece? And he says, you just walk in there. You just pretend you're one of them. They're so overconfident, they don't even see you. And that reminded me a little bit, when Dina was saying that, it's like, they're talking like nobody's listening. And, it's because they're so overconfident. They know that the scars don't use any kind of technology, but it's not occurring to them that anyone else would be listening in on their conversation. So she's able to track and pinpoint exactly where they're at, where their patrols are, and thank God that somebody, smart is among their group, because I could only imagine if Ellie had been on her own through this whole thing.
Once again, without Dina, Ellie would have died 3 miles outside of Jackson.
She would have, yeah, exactly, 3 miles outside of Jackson, yeah.
But I liked it too because, even they were trying to justify it in their head. She's like, Dina, have you ever heard of the Amish? She's like, no. She's like, they turned away, technology and stuff. And she's like, I wonder if that's what the Seraphites are doing, if they refuse to use technology. And that's why the wolves don't care about talking whatever they're talking, because that is, having been in the military, the last thing you do is give away positions or anything else over the radio. You keep your talk on the radio as concise as possible with only the information needed to give. As a radio field operator, that was drilled into my head quite often. So I was kind of taken aback, like, sure is nice of them to give Dina all this information as she's triangulating everything. So at least they made an effort to explain why they're doing it. So that was nice. But she eventually triangulates it all out. Ellie admits there's no way she could have ever done that, which is true. And they decide that there is a warehouse they have to pass through to get to Lake Hill that the wolves stay away from. So I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure there's nothing at all in there.
And even they.
No reason. And they just don't like the vibe of the place. It's just, it's not the
smells.
party town like the rest of the area that they're in. So they try to avoid that.
And I like that Ellie and Dina, they're at this point, even they're like the audience. They're like, okay, why is it that, the patrol doesn't go in there? Okay, obviously they keep infected in there. We're not playing guessing games. We already know the answer.
I did think it was a little odd that they wouldn't go in there and just clear it out, because it was one building. Like, you go in knowing they're there and you wipe them out because you don't want them to spread any further, unless they just felt they had him contained. I don't know, but I thought it was an odd choice to not go in there and wipe them out. But
Why waste the ammunition?
true, especially if they're not coming, because we did find out later that they were the smarter kind of spores. I think they're called stalkers.
Yeah, I
and they
believe that
wanted
is what
nothing
they're
to
called.
do with people either. So, they were the smart ones.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with you people.
But we do find out, we got a little of Dina's backstory too, when she talks about how she went outside to play and a raider came in, killed her mom and sister, and then, she ended up killing the raider. So, she knows what it's like to kill and, lose and all that other stuff. And a nice little tidbit to it. I thought it was well done. And then they enter the warehouse, and they enter that one room, and they start hearing the infected noises. And then they kind of look up, because they're probably, once again, kind of like the wolves, a little overconfident. Oh, there's some here. They're dumb. We'll just be quiet, use the flashlights, and we'll just take them out. We got our pistols. We can use our knives. We don't even need to make any noise.
Dina is telling Ellie, like, talking to her like a child, like, okay, we're going to go in, and what are we going to do? Not shoot. Because what is the first thing Ellie always does? That's right, goes in guns a-blazing. So, we're going to use knives, or we're going to run. And Ellie is like, okay, Mom.
Okay, we're going to use knives and run. You got it.
But I like how it, like, almost immediately does a 180. So we've got Dina, who's, basically been the planner up until now. She's telling Ellie, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to play it. This is the best, this is the best way for us to get in and get out alive. And they're even, like you said, Keith, they're kind of overconfident, thinking, what is it, like maybe a couple of clickers? We've dealt with that before. That's no big deal. Whatever. And so when they, finally do go in that room, we realize, oh, this is beyond what either of them had assumed. And Ellie's really the only one who's faced off against one of these, the smart infected. She's, or the stalkers, whatever they're called. And so, being surrounded by them now, Dina's plan, that's not going to work. There's no stabbing them. There's certainly no running now.
Well, they were smart enough to come in behind them, too. They let them into the room, let them get into that room, had their attention at the one end while the others came in. And then Ellie was pretty much, hey, go run and get in there. I won't get infected. She still could get ripped apart. I honestly thought she was kind of sacrificing herself there to... I knew she wasn't going to die, obviously, because it's a show.
I think that's what she was trying to do.
Yeah.
I think that was her suggestion.
Which, they pulling apart the grate that Dina was hiding in. They're jumping all over Ellie as she's trying to get him off it. And then, lo and behold, Jesse shows up and saves the day.
Ex machina.
Yeah,
Just
I
in
thought
time.
that was a little... I was like, really? Come on.
And it was only him. It was only him. Why was he able to take them all out so easily compared to like having a crew there? And and Ellie, obviously they ran out of ammo.
Mm-hmm.
But he came in there and just like he got through all of them and to them and then them out, and it seemed like plot armor to me.
Well, this is where my head started bobbing, so you all may have to fill in some of the gaps. Because I don't remember them even getting out of there.
Yeah, I mean,
I
Jesse
remember
just
opening
came
my
in.
eyes and they were in the woods.
Jesse just kind of came in, and whether he surprised the clickers that there was another person in there, like they weren't expecting it, and they didn't plan for it, but he just blasted them. He had a shotgun and just blew them away. And I was kind of like, okay, for all the tension and everything leading up to that scene, because I did like when they were walking through this warehouse, and it was funny. It's like, what's down that hall? Well, it looks haunted, but there's no clickers. And then they open the doors. I'm like, oh, that does look like something out of a horror film. And then just them walking, kind of like the tension was building. I thought they were doing a good job. And that was one of my biggest sort of things I didn't like about this episode. There wasn't a lot, but obviously, it was, they make fun of it in so many movies where, oh, the hero shows up just in time to save them.
Yeah.
When we didn't see them following him at all, and I know they wanted us to be surprised by it, but all of a sudden him just showing up and saving the day, I was just kind of takes away the power from Ellie and Dina that
undermine their own show.
It was almost like they wrote themselves
show.
into a corner and they couldn't figure out, okay, what do we do now? Okay, do we still have Joel?
And that's the end. That's the end storytelling that I was mad about last week. And when that happened, I was like, oh my god, they didn't plan this out. They just said this. It would be cool to go into this warehouse or whatever, and then get caught. And then they wrote themselves into a corner and like, oh, how do we get them out of it? That's what I figured that they did here. That just seemed like what they did. I know you probably don't feel the same way, but
I do actually.
I
in
do
this
too.
case, I do, because I have to. I mentioned this. I think the last in our last the one that didn't end up airing, but in our last review of The Last of Us, I remember mentioning that one of the things that I was hoping for and that I was a little bothered by was the fact that they have the game already. The game was made. I want to say it's like 6 years old or something, maybe older. And they have the opportunity to look at what worked in the game and what didn't, and then fix. Because they did that in season 1. And in fact, I'd say some of the best episodes were the ones where they're like, okay, we didn't really, it didn't work as well, or maybe it worked fine for the game, but there's no way it's going to translate to TV. And so they took the opportunity to fix a few things or readjust the story. And they kind of did that at the beginning of season 2, where in the game, from what I understand, you aren't supposed to know who Abby is. And I don't think they end up revealing it, I guess, until somewhere in the middle or the end of the game or something
think they
like
don't.
that.
I don't think they reveal it until she kills Joel.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. This is the one that I haven't played, so I don't know everything that happened in the game. But I have to wonder, did they also do this in the game where Dina and Ellie go into this warehouse and they have to be saved by Jesse? Like, I'm wondering, did it also play out this way in the game, and they decided we're going to do a 1-for-1 shot, or
I can't imagine it did.
Is this a fix?
Now, my nephew did play the game. He was the one who told me that, like, you didn't know Abby was the daughter of the doctor that Joel killed until the last moment. So I'm gonna have to ask him if that had, because I mean, I was the same way. They were doing such a good job. If you're gonna have Tommy and Jesse catch up to them, have them catch up to them when they're in the theater.
Yeah.
Have them freak out because, oh my God, someone's here. Who is it? And almost, kill each other.
How
or
great
something.
would it have been if during Dina's their overconfident speech, and then you see these two walk in, and Ellie and Dina have no idea because they were too over. That, I feel like that would have hit harder. You're right.
It would have been better.
Yeah, back to the editing room. They, if they had just shown a scene or two where Tommy and Jesse are just like, you know what, we got to go after him.
Oh,
And
what
then-
about at the end of the last episode? We just see like boots, or we see some sort of identifying feature. Well, like, we don't need to see their face, but they can kind of clue us in that somebody else is trailing them.
Yes, just to know that they're on their way or something.
Exactly. But this surprise, oh shit, we don't know what to do. We can't figure out how to, save Ellie and Dina. We got them stuck in this warehouse. Surprise, Jesse's here. And their explanation for how they found them, like, because even Ellie, once again, has to be the audience. She says, how did you find us? Oh, we tracked you to the theater and we found your map. And it's like, but how did you even think to look in the theater?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
And when she grabbed that guitar in the theater, I was like, what are they going to do this 2 episodes in a row? Why would they do that? I'm glad they didn't. But
I am too.
I was like, you can't evoke. I mean, it didn't get anything out of me, but you can't evoke that emotion twice in 2 shows.
No, if they would have did something like that again, that would have been another
like
tick.
back to back. Yeah, that would have been too much. I would have been like, come on, let's get to the show. Come on, she can sing later. And also, I did notice, I don't know if you guys caught it, but Bella
Ramsey.
Her last name?
Ramsey.
Bella Ramsey, her accent came out in that just a little snippet that she started to sing. I heard that accent.
I didn't notice that. I'm gonna have to watch.
Oh,
that
I did.
Again.
I was like, oh, that accent slipped. Okay.
But yeah, after Bruce Willis, Jesse shows up and saves the day at the last second. They kind of run out of the
Screaming,
building.
die hard, die hard, die hard.
yeah.
We're doing a die hard.
Yippee-ki, whatever she says.
But then they run out. Obviously, they're seen because they're just, don't stop, just run. They're seen by,
Right.
The Washington Liberation Front. They're kind of shooting at them. They start chasing them, which they should have known someone was still in the area because they were seen in the subway. I won't get into that.
They specifically said we can't go firing our guns because they'll hear them.
Yeah.
We're timing this to their patrols. They're around there. They don't go into this building, but they patrol around it. They were going to hear a shotgun going off for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
But then they end up running into like a wooded area, the park.
That was for you, Keith.
Oh, thank
Absolutely.
you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I caught a little bit of the ick, I think, on my trip.
Well, you did go to Florida, so that tracks.
True.
Plain Nick is no good.
Absolutely.
Oh, he did it again.
But they find out that the Washington Liberation Front will not go into this park. And they're like, why aren't they following us? They're like, at least they're not following us. And I'm like, okay, is this infected? Or is this something up? But it turns out to be the Seraphites. And what an effective way to make both groups look terrible than us witnessing the ceremony, the disemboweling of one of the Washington Liberation Fronts. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow. They did a great job showing that looked real. But I did not need to see that. Especially I was watching it late
the
last
dude,
night.
as they're like stringing him up, and he's like begging, I'll join you. I'll believe whatever you want me to believe. And like, it's, to me, that felt so human, because I can literally imagine anybody else in that position. Like, this isn't, an action film where the guy's like, you can go ahead and pull my fingernails, I'll never tell. Instead, you've got like a more realistic, approach to this. Where, yeah, I'll literally say whatever you want me to say. Just please do not hang me up and disembowel me.
She will protect me. Don't you take our prophet's name in vain. And then we get to the second issue I had with this episode. So Dina gets shot in the leg, and Ellie says, I'll create a diversion, and you guys run off, because there wasn't enough Seraphites to chase both groups.
Right.
I was like, okay, that was a little bit off, too.
I was also bothered by that, but for two reasons. One, the not enough Seraphites thing, yeah, that's like, come on now. But the second is, it made sense when Ellie proposed that in the warehouse, because she can't be infected. But you know what can happen? Ellie can get shot by a damn arrow. That's still a thing that can happen, so I don't know why she bothered to suggest that. Like, anyone really could have been a distraction.
Damage.
Yes, she does have...
She's completely impervious to damage. What are you talking about?
I don't know about that.
And then I don't know if you guys did this, but when Ellie was running away and they had the Seraphites like looking around, there was a girl who was center screen who was right there, and I looked at her and I paused and I'm like, is that freaking Abby? It wasn't.
Oh, I must have missed that.
And I was like, oh my god, did she join the Seraph? I'm like, oh wait, no, that's not her. Okay.
The girl with the
braids.
Hair.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's not her. But when it first happened, because I watched Andor episode 9 after the kids went to bed, and then I watched The Last of Us. So it was a little late for me too. And I was like, okay, that's not her. But I thought for sure it was when I first saw it, but it wasn't. And of course, Ellie discovers, hey, the hospital where Nora is right there. So why don't I just run to it? And she does.
Oh, you dumb girl. Please do not let her be alone.
Yes, she shouldn't be. But then she ends up finding Nora. She's kind of holding her at gunpoint, asking her where Abby is. And man, at first, Nora was like, yeah, that was tough to watch. I can't believe that. And then she starts taunting her about it to kind of get her guard down, get her thinged up so she could, throw that, whatever that bloody water, whatever the hell it was at her to kind of try to escape.
Like I couldn't tell, because at this point I was, I'm now watching it on my lunch break, the rest of this, and I had my blinds open, so maybe
The Last of Us.
What?
It's called The Last of Us. I was just making a joke. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. It is called The Last of Us. So, I'm trying to focus on what I'm looking at, and it looked like, maybe I'm wrong, it looked like she was trying to develop photos or something. I couldn't tell what she was.
No, she was cleaning bandages.
Oh, is that okay? I had no idea, and I'm like, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah, I didn't know if they were putting it in some alcohol or something, or doing, but they were. Yeah, it looked like she was cleaning the bandages from the guy she was healing up over there.
That makes way more sense. I'm like, this seems like a really dangerous place to have a photography hobby.
Yeah. Look, I got this stalker picture. It looks really good. But Nora kind of runs after she throws that at her. Ellie's chasing her. She's yelling, infiltrator or whatever she was yelling. People were shooting at Ellie, but of course, Ellie was evading the bullets with amazing agility. And then Nora jumps into the shaft, which was B2, which we knew earlier. The elevator shaft. And we see B2, which we had heard earlier, which was leading to a basement, which they closed off because of the airborne spores down the basement.
You said B2, and I'm like, oh, B2 was in this show too? In the arms of the angels.
Oh, we lost all of our subscribers. Oh.
If they don't like Doug singing, then good riddance. Good riddance to them all. We are now going to be an a cappella karaoke channel.
Yes.
All right.
Been waiting for this.
Look, the moment I've waited for.
Right. This is what we've all wanted all along. We just were too afraid to say.
It's amazing. We all had the same dream, and we were too afraid to speak it. But we'll start that next week. It was kind of nice in the one sense that while they're down there, Nora's like breathing heavily. She's having trouble. Obviously, the spores are invading. We see Parks, which was that the same actress from Battlestar Galactica? I don't think it was, but they both had a last name Park. That kind of, I was like, I meant to look it up last night, but it was about midnight when I would finish, and I was tired. But we see the kid, I think his name was Leon. We see a couple other people just totally immersed in stuff. And I really thought they went out of their way to do a great job with how the spores looked in that basement, how they were all over the poles. They were all over the place. It looked really good and creepy. And
you know what it reminded me of? Remember Aliens, the second one? When they captured them and they took them back to be their hosts? That's what kind of that reminded me of. People were hung up on the walls because they had an alien in their chest.
Yep. No, you're right. That's a good catch. But, Nora, or Ellie kind of catches up to Nora, and she's kind of like talking to her, and she figures out, oh, wait, you're the immune girl that Joel brought to the Fireflies and ended up killing them all for it. And, we all thought it was, a myth or whatever, and she finds out. And I do think that this is going to lead to more people finding out exactly who Ellie is. Because right now, I think the only people that know are Tommy and Dina. So she's going to come out of that basement or something. She might get captured next week, and they're going to be like, why is everyone else who went down there a freaking mushroom now, and you seem fine? She'll breathe some spores at him. Oh, my God, you're Typhoid Mary. You're spreading it everywhere. And I think they may figure out.
Excuse me. Typhoid Mary is bipolar.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. You're right. Yeah. I apologize.
What makes sense? Come on. Know your Marvel comics.
Yes.
That obvious. Rather than a person spreading disease, it's clearly a mental disorder. Typhoid Mary. I mean.
Thank you, Iron Fist Season 2. Thank you for wasting Alice Eve. But Nora's kind of like, oh, did you know that Joel did all this? And she's like, oh, I knew. And then takes whatever she picked up that looked like a hammer and just start beating her, asking where Abby is.
Wailing on her.
She's a little okay with the violence. I was kind of taken aback at how willing she was to just repeat what was done to Joel to somebody else.
I think I was more surprised at the fact that, when Nora asks her, like, do you even know what he did? And Ellie, like, just without skipping a beat, is just like, yeah. So it makes me wonder, when did she... Like, I kind of figured that she found out at some point. I think my assumption is that Joel broke it down to her. He told her after his therapy session. That's when I think it happened. But I don't know.
See, I think it happened before that.
They weren't talking for quite a while.
I think it happened, and that's what kind of got her to not talk to him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to find out, because obviously, after this whole thing, she wakes up back in Jackson for a flashback. So we're going to get a flashback episode next week. I don't know if it'll be the whole episode, but I think it's going to explain how Joel finally breaks down and explains to her
I
that it
swear,
wasn't
if
Raiders.
the whole episode is a flashback and they do a sturdy like Acolyte did, I am going to be so upset.
Well, what I got from it was, this is my guess until Keith just said that. Sorry. That she was just saying it to keep her advantage in the confrontation. Oh yeah, I knew. So what? You know? So she doesn't crack in front of her enemy. That's what I thought it was.
Would have been a good play.
Mm-hmm.
And of
now,
course,
with what Keith said a second ago, I think Keith's right.
We always think Keith is right.
I wish I was. I mean, we always are. We are always 100% right. But
100% right.
that's right. And we close with getting our Stan, Pedro Pascal, kind of coming in and talking to her. And it definitely seems like this is when they're still on good terms because she's not in the garage, she's in the room, and obviously they're talking. So I'm kind of looking forward to next week, but I'm with you. I mean, we don't need an
entire... It looked like a very sweet moment. But yeah, I hope it's not the entire episode. But yeah, just hearing him, like, refer to her with a a term of endearment. I think, what do you call it, like baby girl or something like that?
Kiddo, I thought, or something.
Huh?
I thought it was kiddo, but I may be wrong.
It might have been. All I know is like when he said it, it sounded genuine and sweet. Like they truly had finally created like this father-daughter sort of relationship.
Yeah. So.
Oh, and did Bella Ramsey in that scene? Did she look a little younger in the bed? So I don't know if they aged her down or did they shoot this back when they were shooting season 1.
I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't notice it myself.
We suspect would be between seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they shot it at the beginning of the season, and then they filmed everything else.
Possibly.
Yeah, definitely.
She had a more of a youthful vigor, if you will.
But when Pedro came in, I was like, cool. The best actor on the show, Pedro. Being this is, but at the same time, I thought they're trying to get us to go, oh,
And it did it to me, man.
Yes,
Like,
it didn't
like,
work, Dave. They
"Aw."
didn't get me at all.
It totally got me.
We'll talk
It
later,
totally-
Doug.
it didn't get me because I saw it was like, oh yeah, this is another part of the
You saw through it.
the cliche part because they couldn't let Pedro go after only 2 episodes. He had to be in it some other time, and we all predicted he would be in a flashback. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking it's gonna happen at some point. Just when they did it, I was like, okay, that's how they're gonna do it. I was like, oh my god, he's back.
I'm just hoping that they do a good job of,
Same.
get this flashback, get a better understanding of why they were at the place they were at the beginning of the season, and then it'll explain a little bit too of why she's so dead set on her revenge. If they do that, it'll definitely be a good episode. This episode, while I enjoyed it, there were some problems with it. They almost had
There were definitely some problems.
video game moments where, okay, you guys run that way, and I'm going to bring all 70 guys with me because they all have to run the same direction. And, hey, wow, the guy showed up just in the nick of time. How awesome. But, I mean,
Solid
overall,
snake moment.
Keith was looking for a cliff to jump off on.
That's right. Can I fall off something here? What's going on?
Solid snake moment, like Metal Gear Solid. Did that cardboard box just move? No, I think we're good. Okay.
I swear it was over there. Cardboard boxes can't move. I mean, don't you know anything?
I swear, I'm pretty sure I saw it move.
You can't
Okay,
talk
anyway,
to
so-
a piece of poo, okay? It's a piece of poo. You can't talk to a piece of poo.
Watching South Park recently?
Hey, yeah. By the way, we have a couple of resubscribers for 32 months. Thanks, guys.
All right. Let's see. KJ Richter 7 and Tall Guy 0403. Thank you so much for supporting our little channel here for 32 months. We appreciate it. It helps us out tremendously. So keep on keeping on, gentlemen. Or ladies, whoever you are.
The tall guy's definitely a lady.
And short as hell.
We don't assume gender on this channel.
That's true. We do not. But
but
I was just going to say, should we rate this episode? But if you have something more to add, we certainly can.
no, it wasn't on the episode. It was just a joke. So yes, we can go ahead.
Well, let's
and
hear
rate
the joke.
episode.
We like jokes here.
It was just something about Brienne of Tarth mixing with Tyrion to become Tall Guy 0403.
Oh, there we go. I like it.
There's
The
some
tallest
pieces of a
midget
joke there
delivers.
for sure.
Yeah, it was, all the parts are there. I just got to work it around. Not
Well, maybe not all of them, but a few of them, yes.
all of them. Got to add something else.
Teeny tiny
I'll work-
tangent.
I'll work it
I
out
was
and get
literally in a situation like that where, you know, that brewery that I like to go to, Supernatural. So on Thursday nights, they'll usually do, well, every other Thursday they do a comedy night, but they bring in, usually it's people testing out some jokes. And I kid you not, someone literally said that, you know, tried at a joke, didn't quite work, and he goes, he's looking at his notebook, he goes, well, I got all the pieces of a joke, I just haven't quite arranged it the right way. We'll try it again next week.
We'll work it and get back to you. That's what
Right,
Stewie is.
exactly. And in the meantime, we're all just kind of like, oh, okay, open mic night, I guess.
Well, that's how you test your new material.
You'll get that. And just so you know, Retreating Blady of on Twitch, cheap viewers on steamboospace.com. Remove the space. Once again, Retreating Blady of, we only like the highest quality viewers. We do not want cheap viewers. We appreciate you taking the time to copy and paste that chat into our chat. It did take a lot. We appreciate it, but we will pass on the cheap viewers. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. So, should we rate this episode, gentlemen?
I think so.
Okay, well, I'll take the lead as I do. The acting of the two women in the opening scene, you said her name was Park, I think. That was
Yes,
the
it was
actress's name?
Elise Park and Hanrahan. I don't think we've ever
Yeah.
gotten anything else for Hanrahan, which wasn't Hanrahan shot Robert Kennedy or something like that? Sir Hanrahan? I don't know. Forget it. Hold on. Let me get us.
Sirhan?
Was that who
Sirhan,
shot?
Sirhan?
Was that who
Yeah.
shot? Okay. Get us
But
out of
it's
tangent.
close.
I
very
knew.
close.
I knew it was similar. It was somewhere there.
But the acting of the two women at the beginning of the episode, it kind of reminded me of like the first season. Remember when they would start off the show with a news report or something from the previous time? I thought that was cool in the first season. They really, haven't done that anymore because I guess they don't really have any explaining to do. We all know what's going on. But as far as the acting of these two women, it seemed like, I don't know, something out of another movie where it didn't seem to fit. Like, it seemed like it was two dudes, like that had the way she was smoking the cigarette, and I just felt like, would this be a natural conversation for them, or would it not? I just didn't think if it kind of fit. It just didn't. It didn't felt off to me, so I didn't like that at the beginning. Jesse showing up just at the moment of time, we all discussed that was kind of like, they could have done that better. They could have just,
Pretty cheap.
yeah, they could have, like we said, back to the editing room, that we could have seen somebody was following them. It doesn't matter if it was like, it looked like it was a woolly mammoth or or
Ice
if it was
Age 6.
Right. It could have been like, a Sasquatch. As long as we knew somebody was following them, that would have been a lot better than him just showing up out of nowhere. So that was a big detractor for me. Ellie's escape from Nora, like at the end there when they were discussing that, when she was beating her with the pipe, and I think it was a piece of two pipes that had,
Broken
just a
off,
golf
yeah.
club angle, which I thought was like, oh, it's angled like a golf club. That's why she's doing it. Yeah. And,
Clever
I-
girl.
I didn't think she would have a problem with beating the crap out of her, and she didn't. But, overall, besides all this, these plot holes that we pointed out, I still thought the acting was kind of thin, and the reason I see like most of the show is like this. I don't know if it's the acting anymore. I think it might be the direction for me. The the direction is poor. I mean, it's like he's having all the cast, of course, except Pedro. Nothing I've seen him do was seem thin or bad at all. But all the rest of the cast, it seems like they're just like, I don't know, a step or an edit away from making me think that they're really in this situation. Because right now it feels like I know I'm watching a show. I can't immerse myself in the show when I feel like they're just acting. You know, when I feel like it's an actual event or something like that, that's the good stuff. Like when you're watching Marvel and you get really into it, you can detect the bad acting performance pretty quick with Marvel because they're all great actors. I think when it's en masse like this, it's the director or it's the writing. That's the reason I don't like the show. So there are things that are happening as plot points that seem to need to happen, but to me it's still like and then storytelling. So I still don't like it. It still didn't make any progress with me. I'm still going to give this week a 2.5.
See, now, while I did have some problems with this episode, and definitely Jesse showing up to save the day right at the right moment, I was kind of like, I kind of groaned when that happened. And then also, Ellie kind of saying, "Oh, I'll distract him. You guys run off and get her to safety." I was like, there's enough of them that can chase you both. There were some issues, and it's funny because I do find Isabela Merced, I think, is doing a great job. I think she's very like facial expressions and stuff. Bella does get a little stone-faced at times, and I did see that a little bit in this episode, where it's like she's supposed to be displaying emotion with her face, and there's nothing. But then there's other times in this episode, like when she was angry at Nora, or acting to be angry, I thought she did a really good job. But there's gaps in her acting when she's just like, yes, we should do that, it'll be great. Where I don't get that from anybody else. Like, I thought when Jesse showed up, despite the fact how they wrote it in, I thought he was entertaining, and kind of their banter when they were running from him too, when he's like, yeah, you guys didn't do it. Well, until we weren't. I thought that was good. But I mean, I think overall this is probably the weakest episode of this season. Still not bad, but I think they have a lot they can improve on next week, and I hope they do, because I do like this show. I've been very entertained by this. And, it's funny, something Dave said made me think of this, because while I do enjoy it, I still am thinking I need to review this while I'm watching this, and I look for stuff where I have to admit, Andor engrosses me so completely, I forget I'm watching it for like the channel, because it's so good. This is definitely nowhere close to Andor level, but I think it's still good and entertaining. And I'm going to give this episode a 6.5. I think it's above average. I think it had some cool stuff. I really dug the vibe when they were in the warehouse and they were like, oh, it's haunted, but no quadriceps or no infected, anything like that. And I just kind of like, at times, I think the banter between the characters is pretty good. I think they could have more of it, especially with Jesse showing up. I'm hoping Tommy, Jesse, Dina, and Bella, or Ellie, Jesus, I'm using some of their actors' names, some of their real names. I hope they kind of argue back and forth a lot, because I really liked in the beginning of the season when Ella was arguing with Tommy. And he's like, you remind me so much of him. And she's like, well, then you're not going to win this argument, so you just should let me do it. Stuff like that, I thought it was well done, and we've kind of lost it a little bit as we've started narrowing down how many characters are involved. So we're getting a flashback next episode. I hope it's better, but this was about a 6.5 for me.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat as you, Keith. Only there were certain parts of the episode that I was bothered by. I think I'm now, because of the weaknesses in this episode, it kind of has a rippling effect on the rest of the show. So, like we had said, during the review portion of this video, we, mentioned that they never intended, originally when they were, laying this out, they had no intent on doing the whole spore application of the of the fungus, right? It was always supposed to be tendrils because they're like, we can't have them wearing gas masks the entire thing. There's no way we could get any actor to agree to that.
Mayonnaise on an escalator.
So-
There was a
It's
fungus
going
among
up,
us.
so see you later.
You going to bed, buddy? Can I get that?
No, there's still bed.
Oh,
There was a fungus among us, Doug.
there was. But yeah, so now that they realize we've reached a point in the story where we don't have a choice, like a lot of things in this episode, it felt kind of shoved in. I wasn't bothered too much by the conversation in the beginning. I think it could have used a bit more emotion. I think that's what it was lacking. Because, I'll be honest, it wasn't clear to me at first that Park was talking about her son that she had to abandon. She was speaking about it like, we lost one of our best soldiers down there, so I must have missed something in the conversation. But yeah, it wasn't conveyed to me that she was broken up over having had to leave her son behind. It sounded more like, we lost a good man kind of thing. And she, I guess I would have expected if this really was, I had to, essentially sign my son's death warrant. I guess I would have imagined maybe a bit more of a shake to her, or, maybe a tear or something that would have conveyed the emotion of the situation. So that was, yeah, something. So like right off the bat, I was like, that's a little weird.
She was
But
smoking
other than that,
filterless cigarettes, though.
Cigarette, all right. But yeah, when I'm listening, I'm like, oh, so they are doing spores now. I'm like, that's kind of a weird, jump to suddenly make, because you can tell that they've been trying to insinuate, badly in my opinion, that the fungus is evolving, that it's getting smarter. We've got the stalkers now. We've got it, crawling its way through pipes. Some of the infected are hiding underneath the bodies in the snow in order to stay warm. So they're doing a somewhat okay job of trying to illustrate that it's evolving and getting smarter, but it seems like they're dumping it all at once. And I think, my opinion, this is because that's how it was portrayed in the video game. My assumption is in the making of the game, they were probably like, well, how do we convince these players that, we have to start with a level 1 character again? They just got done, playing The Last of Us Part 1. Ellie is now a pro. Ellie and Joel are now pros at fighting mushroom zombies. We've got to amp up the difficulty. How do we do it? Oh, we'll say that the mushroom zombies are now smarter. They're stalking them. They can think clear. They're going to surround them. These aren't the clickers from the first game. So from a gameplay standpoint, that makes sense. But if they knew, because the games have been out for a while now, but if they knew they were eventually going to want to show these smarter mushroom zombies, I feel like they should have laid the groundwork in Season 1. Show us them doing something a little bit different, weird, intelligent, something that shows that they're thinking more than just, the sort of natural reaction of, the tendrils on the ground thing. But it's like they laid none of the groundwork, now they're dumping it all in the season, and now they're like, oh, by the way, spores are a thing. And I was like, huh. And then, to add kind of fuel to the fire, so to speak, the whole Jesse thing that we discussed. I'm not going to, go over it again. I think the both of you pretty much hit the nail on the head. But again, it felt out of nowhere, like they had written themselves in a corner. And I say again, if that was an issue in the game, I don't know if they, if it was beat for beat, but if that was an issue in the game, fix it. You had the opportunity. You could have done that. If you realize that there are some holes in your story, fix it. You don't have to do it beat for beat. I don't care about all the people out there that are screaming and clamoring, it's got to be exact, you have to make the show identical to my favorite game. No, you don't have to do that. Like, one of the things that we've discussed before when we're talking about some of these MCU movies, the one thing that I appreciate about these writers and directors of these movies, they're usually pretty good at figuring out how to take the stories from the comics and make it make sense for a movie. Sometimes things from the comics just are not going to work. Like, I can't imagine a Guardians of the Galaxy movie with the characters from the comics.
Right.
I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. So, I think, and this is just free advice for any writer out there, you're allowed to make changes from the source material if it works. If you realize that the source material isn't perfect, you know, it's not a Bible. If there are things that could be fixed, could be changed, take the opportunity. I know the original creators from the game are working on this project. You can't tell me that they are impervious to, you know, to realizing. I mean, do they not see? And if that's the case, well, then maybe they need an outside party to look in, because yeah, there was a lot of other issues. Then we jumped to the whole forest thing, and that was the other thing. Like I'd said the same thing. Like, it was starting to get really good. I'm like, oh shit, they're showing us the Scarred. Oh, they're hanging somebody up. Okay, this feels good. This feels real. This feels like a situation I could see this. And then Ellie, I'll run off in this direction and I'll draw their fire, and you two. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't even make sense. Like, these aren't infected. It made sense back when you were in the warehouse. I can't be bit. I can be bit. I'll be fine. It's like, okay, you can be shot by arrows, though. You can be hung up and disemboweled. So, like, girl, come on.
And nobody knows she was special.
No. So I was at that point, like I said, I had kind of watched it in two halves, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching this on my lunch, and I'm just like, huh, well, that's kind of an odd choice. And then, of course, we go down to the basement, and now here's where I'll give it bonus points. That set design looked really friggin' cool. I really, really liked how that one room was just covered in fungus and tendrils, and you can see the people that are like growing. They're like part of the wall. And I got some, what do you call it? Pirates of the Caribbean vibes when they showed, I think it was number 2, the Black Pearl, or not the Black Pearl, the Davy Jones locker. And you see all these people that are like essentially a part of the ship, and they've got coral growing all over them. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. I love the look that they went for. So super kudos to all the set designers, costume designers, makeup people. Phenomenal job. That looks amazing. It looked great. And the sort of fear on the actress who played Nora, I will say that looked good. I like the fact that she had this sort of recognition in her face. I'm gonna die. This is it for me. You know, I've breathed in the spores. So that tells me also that I guess after this conversation, they must have spread it around so everybody knew, stay the hell out of the basements. So yeah, this episode, I think it was, like he said, I think it was probably one of the weaker episodes out of the season. It could have been a lot better. And I think it has rippling negative effects for the rest of the show, because they've kind of written themselves in a weird place now. And I hope, I am praying to all the nerds in heaven above, please do not make the next episode an Acolyte flashback nonsense episode, because I don't know that I'm going to be able to make it all the way through. So for that reason, I'm going to give this episode I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10, because yeah, it really struggled. It was on that struggle bus pretty hard. I've seen better, and I know they can do better.
And you're right. You know, I don't know any writer who's ever written something and didn't think we could improve that by doing this later. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, they did some so much of that going around. You know, they did a good job of it in season 1 of making some good changes to it. But you're right. Yeah. Now they're almost getting stuck, like, oh, we kind of got to do this now, so we got to handle it this way. Let's hope they upward trajectory from here. But you're right. I mean, this could be, if they sort of end this season on a low note, on a couple bad episodes, that's going to really make it tough to begin watching season 3. Because A lot of people thought, it was like Joel's out, I'm out was seriously trending after after he died in episode 2, and I was like, you guys are crazy. It's still going to be good. And I started doubting it a little bit. Sunday night when I was watching, I was like, oh, please don't start doing this terrible tropey crap with all of a sudden just showing up at the last second. You could have had a really good side plot of Tommy and Jesse making their way there.
That's exactly what I was going to say. They could be a little, they don't have to completely be like The Walking Dead, but they could expand their focus a little bit to include more people out of, Jackson. To, not a side quest, but just show what some other cast is doing, and it doesn't take much. Seen here and there. It's like on Game of Thrones. There's like Jon Snow never had any idea what was going on in King's Landing, but it all came together at the end. If you take some different parts of characters and they all converge at some points, that's the way you do it. You don't just focus on the two people, and then when you bring in these other people, then you got to kind of briefly tell their backstory just to get everything up to speed. I think that's kind of a back to the editing room for me, is that you need to incorporate more characters so that when something like that happens with Jesse, you're not surprised. And well, maybe not surprised, but just it's not out of nowhere.
Right.
And you can have someone catch up to them and not save the day at the last second. That seriously has been so overused in movies and television that we did not need to see it again. So bad.
Like, Ellie is supposed to be essentially the replacement Joel, right? In fact, they even point out that she's incredibly violent in this season, and she's learned a lot of that from Joel. Where in the first season she was unsure of herself, and she wasn't. She was faced with, like, the first time she had to shoot somebody in order to save Joel because his hearing was off, and then the second time when she had to watch that kid that she had become friends with get shot because he was infected, and then when his older brother blew his own brains out and everything. It's like, so she had to encounter a lot, and she wasn't prepared for it. Now in this season, she's supposed to have grown. She was supposed to be more of a Joel type, because in the game, again, she was the replacement for Joel. So give her that moment. If that would have been like what you just said, Keith. That would have been a prime opportunity. Give her that hero moment. Let her find a way to get her out of that situation. You don't have to make it where somebody has to jump in and save the day.
And I honestly thought we were getting that when she said, go lock yourself in there, I'll be okay. I was like, oh, we're going to see Boba Fett from The Mandalorian just
Right.
going apecrap and doing his
God.
stuff. And yeah, instead she was a damsel in distress that needed to be saved at the last second. Get past it, please. Don't do that again. But now it's, now I'm kind of hopeful too that at least Tommy and Jesse will be there, and maybe they can have some better plans and figure some stuff out, because we still don't know where Abby is. Nora, as far as we know, did not give up her location because she knew she was going to die. She didn't care what,
Right.
Ellie was going to do to her. She was not giving up that information. So it'll be interesting to see where they go next for finding Abby. Once again, none of us have played the game, so we don't know, but it might take all 4 of them to be doing some investigation to figure out where she is and where she's stationed.
I just hope they show the other side of it too. They show some of the other team or the people that they're following, so when they find them, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That would make more sense. And I think I remember reading that I don't know if it's just like one small part or if this happens multiple times throughout the game, but apparently you have to play as Abby, at least in the beginning. I know that much. I don't know if you end up having to again at any other point during the game. But yeah, that would be interesting if that carried over from the game, since you seem to be locking yourself into got to be direct from the game. But yeah, that'd be kind of a cool feature to, like, okay, now we're going to follow Abby. We're going to see what she did after leaving Jackson. Maybe she gets kicked out of the WLF for, like, breaking the protocol or something.
Yeah, true. Maybe they find out what she did to Joel and said he couldn't defend himself, because they did say the one rule is you can't kill someone who can't defend themselves, and he certainly was in no way to defend himself when she killed him. So
Heck,
maybe she did get
she
kicked out.
took these people when they weren't when she wasn't supposed to. You know, maybe she left without authorization, like Ellie did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to speculate on that. Maybe
No, they should show. They should.
They
Yeah.
should show that. It should be a layered show where you can see other sides, not just the main characters.
Yeah.
You know what would be kind of and now you've got me thinking, Dave. Well, what would be a cool way to do the flashback? Do you guys remember the Avatar: The Last Airbender episode where they're doing a flashback to show us both Aang's background, how he got frozen, and also Zuko, how he got kicked out of the Fire Nation?
Yeah, yeah.
And they juxtaposed them not only against each other, but they kept going back into the future to explain why they were making the decisions that they were making. You know, so they were showing why Zuko was so dead set on trying to find the Avatar, but they're also showing why Aang is so protective of his friends because, you know, he's so fearful of losing people again. That was a kids show, man, and the way the storytelling was phenomenal. So hopefully they do something kind of like that, because I feel like, I assume this is on purpose, that Ellie and Abby are similar in their decision making and their violence.
Yeah. I hope we start getting a next episode. I mean, I didn't even really think about that, but finding out what Abby is up to and where she's at, instead of them finding out for us and then just surprising her. So
Yeah.
let's hope it is. We don't get the full flashback episode. We get a little, hey, maybe even a little bit of Tommy and Jesse's travels to find him. Fill in that a little bit. That it doesn't have to all be next episode, but they can layer
Right,
that in. I
exactly.
think we got 2 episodes left this season. I think it's only
okay.
7, so they can do some things. But it doesn't. It definitely does not seem like we're having the Abby Ellie confrontation this season. But we
I
still
don't think so, no.
It doesn't seem like it. But all right, gentlemen, are you ready to talk a little Peacemaker season 2?
Always ready.
Yes.
We got
Of course, he's such
we
good
got
show.
a fun little drop on Friday morning-ish, afternoon-ish. So, do you guys want to check out the Peacemaker teaser trailer?
I have literally never seen it, Keith. Please show it to me now.
Yes, this is an initial reaction to it.
Wait, is it gonna be knocked down if we do? Is this a Warner Bros?
First thing, we'll kind of show less big chunks of it to see if we get any warnings on it tomorrow or anything. But yeah, it's nice. You know, Peacemaker is being interviewed by Maxwell Lord, played by Sean Gunn, and we see
Now,
Guy
it seems
Gardner.
like are they interviewing him for the new Justice League or whatever?
I believe so, or Justice Society or Justice Gang, whatever they're going
Because
to.
it makes me wonder then, like, what's the plan for, you know, how are they going to, I guess, retcon or change or fix or whatever him meeting the then Justice League from season 1, end of season 1?
James Gunn has already said almost everything in Peacemaker season 1 is canon except for the Justice League appearance.
Okay, so we're gonna just pretend like that didn't happen.
Well, there's some at the end that we'll see at the end of this teaser that I think might explain it a little bit. But
Okay, all right.
By the way,
yes, it is Dina from The Last of Us showing up in Peacemaker season 2. And before this trailer, I did not know that we were going to get Sean Gunn and, you know, Maxwell Lord, Guy Gardner. Once again, I'm confusing actors' names with character names. I really got to get past that. But I didn't know we were getting Maxwell Lord, Guy Gardner, and, you know, Hawkgirl in this, which is kind of nice because, you know, there was a time in the comics when Maxwell Lord was funding Justice League International. And, of course, he was doing it to kind of control the narrative quite a bit because he's not always such a good guy. But I love typical James Gunn. Is the mic off? Oh, how many more of these we got today? You know, where's that
Am I
pause?
supposed to be able to hear you guys?
guys?
Which I have to admit, you guys know, until like the Suicide Squad, I was not a John Cena fan. But he's funny. You know, his comedic timing is just great.
He was such a good casting choice for this character.
True dat. You know, poor
Okay, so I
Peacemaker.
just saw the emblems on their chest, JL. So yeah, I think that is Justice League then. I didn't
mean-
catch that first. I mean, this is the first time I've seen this
Yeah,
trailer, so I didn't.
good catch on your first time through. That's eagle-eyed, you know, good stuff. So yeah, I do think, and they're probably going to be, you know, Justice League, Maxwell Lord's Justice League or something in Superman too, because this is coming out post Superman.
Well, that would explain Guy Gardner being there.
Yes, exactly. I hope it's not the best line in the show, but when he's like, "We're seriously living in the worst level of Grand Theft Auto."
And Dave, he keeps his helmet on because this is the way.
This is the way.
Let's mix all the shows.
All of them.
Don't give them ideas; they will.
You know, I do love that. See, huh?
And it totally fits her character. That's
Right.
the part.
And then right after is a smash hit.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Yes, the smash hit Max original series returns.
Right. Like, okay, perfect trailer creation right there.
Oh yeah, the Rick Flag Senior moment. That's cool.
Yeah, that is kind of nice that we find out Argus has been looking for him since Rick Flag has taken over, which we saw in Creature Commandos. So once again, we're getting, you know,
Continuation.
We're getting that DCU feeling. It's something as a whole, and hopefully we'll get some carryover from Superman into Peacemaker, and then Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and all that other stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's nice having the continuous sort of story going.
The
As long
only
as
thing
it's
that
an
I
acknowledgement to the rest of the universe.
Yes.
Yes. The only thing I hope is that James Gunn isn't pinning too much of the canon on the animated series, because the unfortunate thing about Americans in America is there are way too many people who see animation and instantly in their head, cartoon. In fact, like, I hate to say this, but there was an interview recently by Dan Gilroy, brother of Tony Gilroy, who wrote, did all the writing for Andor, or a lot of the writing for Andor. I don't want to say it was one person. Head writer of Andor. And he basically, made a comment about the episode of Rebels and, how they had to try and make it work with Andor. And he was kind of disrespectful to it. He's like, we were told that we had to, stick kind of close to the cartoon. And I said, really? We have to do the cartoon? And it's like, oh, bro, you don't understand, like, what you're missing out on by cutting it out just because it's animated.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. There are too many people that are like that.
Yeah. I'm an adult. I don't watch animation.
Yeah. So we liked Creature Commandos. That was a pretty darn good series. And I hope that there aren't people that are going to skip out on these animated series because they're looking at it and seeing, oh, cartoon.
I do hope they do a good job of showing that Rick Flag is now the head of Argus and not needing to see Creature Commandos. Because you're right. There's going to be people that did not see it, which, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's worth your time. Especially if you like Peacemaker and everything else.
There's going to be some dude out there that's going to sit down, watch the movie, and be like, who are all these people? I haven't seen anything before this, so.
All right, let's continue. His nicknames for those people, I'm like, oh, dear God. And the best line, hey, you can't really use those nicknames. Where do you think you are, Berkeley? But you're right. It's nice that, Rick Flag Sr. wants Peacemaker because he did kill his son. So, once again, James Gunn has said anything that is referenced from here on forth from the Suicide Squad or Peacemaker Season 1 is then going to be canon. So, him killing Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad is now canon.
Yeah.
Rick Flag Jr., I should say.
That's a very Filoni, Favreau, Star Wars way to do it.
It is.
It is, yeah. Whatever's canon, we, We stick with that. Whatever is from Legends that Disney said wasn't canon, if we like it and it works with our movie or show, hey, guess what? It's canon now.
Which, little tangent-y time. I don't know if I should go into tangent time right now. But the way they handled the Gorman Massacre, separating it from what Legends had as the Gorman Massacre, and just
With
saying,
Tarkin.
yeah, that's the Tarkin incident. And they weaved it in it. I was like,
so they included both. Yeah.
yeah,
I love that.
fantastic. I was blown away.
And,
But-
oh my God, I think it hit better too.
It did. Yeah, 100%. All right, back to this.
It's gonna have a bad season.
Yeah, them. I do think yeah, we're the 11th Street Kids. No one will ever break us apart. I think right after that, they're going to be broken apart.
Is this the I'm 2 days away from retirement?
It is. Hopefully, James does not have those tropey moments. Like, please tell me that Peacemaker won't be in the corner about to be killed by Rick Flag and Argus, and then Guy Gardner flies in and, whoops them all up in a big baseball mitt, a green baseball mitt, and sweeps them away and says, "I've saved you, Peacemaker. Now come join Maxwell Lord's Justice League."
I got a feeling everything we're seeing is going to be in the first 2 episodes.
I can see that too. If James Gunn does decide to do tropes, I only hope that he really leans into it, to the absurdity of it, because I think that would be hilarious if we know it's a trope, he knows it's a trope, and they're purposely doing it and they call it out. Oh my God, that's my type of peak humor. I laugh so hard at that, acknowledging the fact that this has been done before.
That would be certainly okay. We definitely got some sweet action there. Obviously, Rick Flag. We had some Indian, Native American type guy doing something. I don't know if we're getting Apache Chief in season 2 of Pacemaker, but
From Super Friends?
That'd be cool, yeah.
he was a legitimate hero, Doug. He wasn't just from Super Friends, sir. He was in
Okay.
What's it called too? Oh my God, the cartoon
Family Guy?
No, not he. Probably
'Cause he
wasn't
was.
Family Guy, yeah. But
Family Guy.
oh my God, with Nightwing and Aqualad and
Titan.
no,
Oh, in Young Justice?
yeah, Young Justice.
I don't remember that, but all right.
He was
I'll
in the
go back
one
and check
with
that.
some of the. He was with Static Shock and a few others. Now he didn't become giant himself, but he
okay.
projected
That's right. I do remember
Shadow.
that now. Yes, instead of growing bigger.
Chuck.
He didn't say Electchuck yet to grow giant, but they can add that. I'm sure James Gunn will add that if he has Apache Chief in season 2 of this.
And maybe have John Cena. That seems kind of racist.
This is something my dad would like.
Hey,
What is that, Monsters Incorporated? He walks through that door?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's kind of funny, but it does seem very multiversal right there.
Yeah.
In the fact that Peacemaker seems a lot more serious and less, like this
more
Peacemaker.
comic book accurate Peacemaker.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that all. Because we know, obviously,
My assumption, and maybe, again, I could be wrong because I don't know what they're taking from the previous movies and what they aren't. But to me, that reminded me very much of the whole door sequence that they did in Shazam, the sequels. Shazam
Fury
2.
of the Gods.
Yeah, yeah. Where they were, they kept opening different doors and going back and forth, and they were testing out the different doors in the whatever the wizard realm was that they were in.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
That's what it reminded me of.
No, that's a good catch. Yeah, but it does seem very multiversal. Like it's a different universe, and either he's going to take over for that serious Peacemaker in the DCU, or don't ick. It'll be good, Doug. In James we trust. Hopefully.
Yeah. That's the only reason I'm trusting it. I trust James Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'll just be done as kind of like a jokey thing that, okay, this is how we got here to the new DCU and how the character from the DCEU is now in the DCU. And maybe even talk about how that old Justice League showed up in last season.
Just as long as they don't bring in Rachel Ziegler.
I don't think they will. She was a part in Fury of the Gods.
Right.
But maybe they will, just for you, Dave. I know you're a huge fan.
Yeah. I stay up nights just thinking about her. I can't stop.
Now, the question we always ask at the end of a trailer, what's your hype level, gentlemen? What were you before and what are you now for Peacemaker Season 2?
Okay, I see your question, sir. And I say, well, I was always hyped for Season 2. I thought Season 1 was not a masterpiece, but an 8.5, I think I rated it. It was a great show. I can't wait to see this. So before the trailer, I give myself an 8. But now after seeing the trailer, I definitely pump it up to a 9. I can't wait. I don't want the summer to buy any quicker though.
I'm with you, Dave. I'm moderately hyped for this. My hype level is pretty high, mostly because in James we trust. I really liked the first season of Peacemaker. I thought it was good. Like I said, I think the casting of having John Cena in this role, which I'm with you, Keith, don't really like him in much else, and so I wasn't sure that it was going to work in the Suicide Squad, and then it did. And when they, announced that there was going to be a Peacemaker spinoff, I'm like, yeah, of course, give me more. Turned out I loved it. I thought it was really good. I liked pretty much all the characters. I like their banter. I like the overall humor, the fact that they still have heroic moments. It was very good. It really worked out well. And so, yeah, I've been looking forward to a season 2, and I am glad that we're finally getting it. I needed to come out. So, yeah, I'm pretty hyped for this. But I am going to keep it tempered just enough, just in case.
See, much like Dave, I was pretty hyped for this no matter what. I mean, the first season was laugh out loud. There was a few little, like, how is he jumping with a bunch of vinyl in his bag and it's not breaking? But it didn't ruin the show. I don't know why I still remember that so vividly. But I mean, James Gunn writes excellent dialogue and funny dialogue. And there were so many great moments in season 1 with, shockingly, John Cena, pulling it off so well. So I'm hyped, and I think, if anything, that trailer just showed me that season 2 is in good hands. And we're going to get, another very fine season of television. And hopefully it'll, impact a little more of the DCU as a whole, because it does seem, we know at this point, Rick Flag Sr. is coming after him, who is now the head of Argus. So, and he's being recruited for the Justice League. Of course, I don't know if he's going to get the offer. This guy sucks. Did you guys know I can hear you? But I did laugh too.
we did. Please leave.
Because the second Peacemaker, when he goes through the Monsters Inc. door, he does seem a lot more serious. Like he's more. And I was like, okay, John Cena, you got a little range. Maybe it's just James' direction or something like that. But man,
as it works together more, figure out what we're good at, what we're not. Yeah. That does make, a lot more sense now when you see a lot of the same names popping up all the time with directors and actors and, people who do the music and stuff. Like, I was surprised to find out, I had forgotten I was watching the new season of Poker Face, and I forgot that it was directed by Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson. Yeah. And then I saw at the end of the credits, the person who did the music for it, and I was like, oh, I should look that up because I kind of like the little piano or the little guitar tune they do for whenever Charlie is on screen. And then I come to find out that this is the same person that works with him on pretty much all the movies, the exception being Star Wars, because you got to have John Williams. Can't do Star Wars without John Williams. But
or Kevin Kiner.
But yeah. So I was kind of surprised to find out, and then I'm realizing, oh, this is actually something that happens pretty often. And with James Gunn, he does keep bringing back a lot of the people that he's worked with before. He knows how they work. He knows how to direct them, and I appreciate that. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully you're right. Hopefully he's worked with John Cena a little bit more, figured out where his strengths are, and I can't wait to see what this is going to look like in this season.
And it was funny because they announced Peacemaker was becoming a TV show before the Suicide Squad came out, and I just remember thinking, he got to James Gunn. What is going on? And then I saw Suicide Squad. I'm like, okay, he made the right choice. Fine.
I guess he's good.
I can admit when I'm wrong.
I wonder, he's always had Michael Rooker in his stuff, and obviously he couldn't be in this because they killed the character. I wonder if they would bring him back as like somebody else, just drop him in there.
Oh, kind of like
Billion in most of his stuff too.
Yep.
Kind of like what's his name? That's in all of the Sam Raimi films.
Yeah,
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell, yeah. Why couldn't I remember Bruce Campbell? Jeez,
you would figure that he would come up with a little part for him or something.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yep.
He should bring him in as Yondu.
That would be funny.
Oh, I'm in the wrong galaxy.
I mean, and those two, DC and Marvel, they always trade barbs. They're just fun. Have fun with each other. That's the kind of rivalry I like. That they're two separate entities, but they have fun with each other. You know what I mean? So that would be something. That
when it's two comic book companies, it works. They're able to be like, oh yeah, sure, we'll do a crossover. Who cares? But now that big movie and TV production companies are involved, you can't use my character. That's why we're stuck in the whole nonsense with we can't even reference Spider-Man in New York in a Daredevil show because Disney doesn't own TV rights to him.
No, you just can't say the word Spider-Man. You could say, and that arachnid superhero.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Web crawler.
So dumb. So dumb.
And the good news is, we're not done with DCU trailers because Wednesday, it has been confirmed, the Superman trailer is dropping. So Thursday night, when we're talking Andor Season 2 finale...
Series finale.
Yeah.
Series finale. We can also talk a little Superman trailer.
Looking forward to
start off with the Superman trailer because we got to give Andor a proper send off.
That's probably a good idea, Dave.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
We're not done with trailers.
Oh, what?
According to Daniel RPK, the Ironheart trailer is dropping tomorrow.
Oh boy.
So Tuesday, we're getting the Ironheart trailer. Wednesday, we are getting the Superman trailer. Tuesday night, we're getting the last 3 episodes of Andor. We're going to have a lot to talk about on Thursday, gentlemen. And the other little tidbit that was dropped about Ironheart today is that they're going to drop 3 episodes a day.
Oh, is that going to be a new thing?
I hope not, because I don't like like with Andor, it makes sense because these are arcs. It's
Studios
that
are
year.
Stupid, dude.
Well, and I wonder if this is they don't trust. Because remember, this was filmed like 2 years ago. This was done filming. And maybe they just want to, maybe it's like Echo. They just want to get it passed, even though Echo turned out to be good and we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see the trailer, and if it looks terrible, it'll be like, okay, now I get why they're going to rush it out in 2 weeks. Because I do believe there's 6 episodes. So if that is the case, 3 episodes a week, it'll be done in 2 weeks.
That is weird.
The pain is, how long are those episodes? If those are an hour each week, and
They're probably no more than like 40 minutes.
Say the show isn't that good, and then we're sentenced, instead of having to watch the show, we are sentenced to watch the show. I hope it's not bad.
Yeah,
I hope it's not bad either.
It'll be interesting, the magic versus technology. They got some things some good opportunities. It's much like...
At the very least, they need to make her suit look better.
Yo, Baymax, I mean, sorry.
What is your pain level?
Well, after watching this lackluster appearance in a movie that you shouldn't have been in, it's 10.
Well, that's all I got. Anything else from you, fine gentlemen?
No, I don't think I have anything else, Dave.
No, I think we got a big week coming up starting tomorrow, so I think we did a good job tonight, guys. I think we're
I agree.
move on
We
to the
just
next
did.
level.
We just did get a comment from Ungame Thunder Dragon 3. They said hi. Hi, Ungame Thunder Dragon 3. We were just getting ready to sign off
Sign
here
off.
for the evening. But if you got any questions, more than happy to chat with you for a bit. We did talk about The Last of Us Episode 5. We talked about the Peacemaker trailer. So just happy you're here. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. You already sent a comment, like this video. Do the cool YouTube stuff. It's free to you, and it helps our little channel out immensely. But we'd love to hear from you. But we are going to look for somebody to raid on Twitch, which is where we send all of our viewers to another content creator that we appreciate and like. And it's, the way to share the wealth a little bit. But we need to see who's on here.
Tiny Valkyr, Bubble, Graduating, Flake of Wrath. That's what I see.
Yep, me too. So Flake of Wrath is playing Call of Duty. Tiny Valkyr is just chatting. Graduating is playing the finals. And Bubble is... let's do Bubble. She is playing the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remaster.
Sounds good.
And I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but when my wife was pregnant with our first child, I put in about 242 hours on the original Elder Scrolls 4.
Oh, wow.
I hope she never finds out how much time, but she would go to bed, and I would stay up playing that game for hours and hours. And I didn't finish it till my daughter was born, but they would go to bed. Babies go to bed early. They would go to bed, and I would sit there and play for a while, and then she'd wake up for a feeding, and I'd be like, "Oh no, I wasn't playing video games till now. I was getting some sleep. Let me help you." She was breastfed, so I couldn't really feed her. But, hey, you need anything? I'll get you some coffee, or not coffee, but I'll get you some water or whatever you need. Sit down, and now I'll go to bed.
Are you sure that, so there must be a lot of clips in this game, is what you're saying.
Yes, tons, hundreds of them.
Lots of things you can fall off of.
And it was funny because another one of my buddies also played this, and I have every achievement in that game because I did every path you could possibly do. I did everything I could find, and so much time. And I sent the picture to my buddy. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion was remastered. I wish I had the time to play. And he's like, man, me too, me too. But if my wife is watching, I put in 4 hours in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, not
And that is it.
242. Please don't check the played time
142
on my
seconds. That's what
Yes, thank you, Dave. That's right. But we are about to raid Bubble, and once again, something we do on Twitch. Can't do it on YouTube. Well, you can, but you have to know who's going to be live when we're off, and it's chunky, and we don't like doing it. But we appreciate everybody coming out tonight. We will be back.
Thursday.
Oh, she says, can I get some help reaching 200? I'm assuming you're 200 subscribers. Yes, we will definitely subscribe to your channel after this and help you out. I don't know how close you are to 200, but if anyone else is out there, subscribe to Ungame Thunder Dragon 3. They seem like good people. So do it. But we're going to be raiding here, and hopefully everyone can join us on Thursday. We're talking Andor. We're going to talk Superman trailer. If the Ironheart trailer does drop tomorrow, as been said, we will talk about that also. So we'll have a busy night, and we would love for everyone to join us. But we are about to raid. So thanks, everybody.
Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.